So I have a degenerative disc condition in my lower back, specifically in my lower lumbar area in the L4 and L5. And what I'm going to be sharing with you are some stretching techniques that I use for the lower back. So this video is actually the second part of my first video where I cover some exercises to strengthen the lower back. I'll put a link to that video in the description box below. Now, what you're going to be seeing me do in this video are static stretches, but I'm a fan of movement, and so I incorporate movement while I'm stretching. And that's because I just simply believe that a body in motion is going to stay in motion and avoid stagnation, and that's a problem as we age. And so I want to try to remain as limber as I can and as loose as I can the older that I get. Now, in terms of frequency, I do these stretches right after my workout. I really try to work out 4 to 5 times a week, so ideally I'm stretching 4 to 5 times a week. Which brings me to an important point. I don't statically stretch my muscles when my body is cold, and therefore I find that stretching right after a workout is the ideal time to stretch. And I also don't stretch when I'm in pain or feel pain as I'm stretching. You know, I stretch the muscle out enough to feel pain that is uncomfortable, but that is not painful, if that makes any sense. And I also haven't had good experience with stretches like toe touches and some seated hamstring stretches. I feel that those types of stretches actually strain my back as I stretch forward. Now, I'll usually hold a stretch for about 30 seconds. I'll let loose, and then I'll hold it for another 30 seconds. And there's really no need to hold a stretch for more than 30 seconds, and that's because research has found that holding a stretch for about 30 seconds is just as effective as holding a stretch for 60, 90 to 120 seconds. And what I'll do is I'll put a link to that research in the description box below. So in my first video, I talk about how I actually warm up my lower back before I work out. So if you haven't seen that yet, check out my video from the link below. But this is how I stretch my back after every workout. So I usually start with this stretch here because I'm usually so tired from my workout that it gives me a chance to lie down and cool down. So these stretches here are also good if you have sciatic nerve pain because of how the muscle can squeeze up against the sciatica if it's tight. Now, if the way that I'm doing this stretch is too uncomfortable for your knee, you can also do it on the floor in this manner. Now, while we were filming these stretches, for some reason, one of the stretches that I perform very often wasn't recorded, and which is the crossbody back stretch. So what I've done instead is placed a link to that exercise in the description box from bodybuilding.com on how to perform that particular exercise, so definitely check that one out. Now, in my first video, I cover some lower back stretches during my warm-up. But if you have problems with your knees and can't stretch in this position, you can also do this stretch sitting down on a chair. Another variation is using a stability ball to roll out and back as you're doing this stretch with a stability ball. No movement needed here, just relax and let it all hang for about 30 seconds. So don't forget to breathe normally when doing these stretches. You know, take those occasional deep breaths and just try to find this time soothing and relaxing. You'll find that a lot of these stretches are multifaceted and don't necessarily focus on one area. But the muscles of the lower back is interconnected to so many muscles that in order to enhance mobility in your lower back, you have to hit a lot of the muscles that surround it. Now this is by far my favorite hamstring stretch. Find a corner of a wall, bring the leg straight up and try to point your toes towards yourself as much as possible. If you can't find a wall, just use a towel or a rope to stretch your leg upward as you bring it back to stretch it out.
Alright folks, well that's just about it. I was able to go work out and I was able to stretch out my back after my workout this morning, and I'm now at work. And I got to tell you, it really does make a difference. You know, it makes the day go by a lot easier. My back feels great, my back feels strong, as opposed to the times when I don't get a chance to do that. So I hope I was able to give you some useful information and help somebody out there. So just take what you can and incorporate it into your own workout regimen, and see you at the next video.